Oh, hello students. This time I am going to take some errors that you constantly and consistently do in the literature questions. So, since we have just had this periodic test first, or let's call it monthly test, I'll take the same paper. This is one of the students' paper, and the question is from Lost Spring. Do you see this question? The question was, what are the hazards of working in the glass factories for children like Mukesh? Mukesh was a bangle maker. So there are so many bangle makers who are being exploited, in dungeon like cells, in dingy cells which doesn't have any air or light. So the question was, what are the hazards? Now look what most of you have done, or many of you have done. You have written, you have woven a tale around it. Actually, you have missed the point. You have missed the point. How do I say, and why do I say this? See, the hazards of working in the glass factories for children like Mukesh is that the small children, in the first place, never use S with children. Anyways, is that the small children feel unhappy in a very small sentence is not complete. Put a full stop, whatever you want to say. End it with a full stop. In a very small, or in very small dingy cells, dark cells, dark and dingy cells, without air and light. This was supposed to be your first sentence. Without air and light, in dark and dingy cells, they used to work. And now this child goes on to write how they did not get any targets. Now there was no question of targets over here. We are talking of the hazards in the glass factories. So where's the question of targets here? So the child writes, Mukesh wanted to become a car mechanic, right? And then he goes on to say, the narrator can't be a mechanical, because look at the very top of it. Narrator can't be a mechanical because, what do you mean by can't be a mechanical? Can't be a mechanic. Now you see how this student misses the point completely. The question was about the glass factories, and he has taken to write on his dream of becoming a car mechanic. Now the plot certainly misses, right? It gets missed altogether. That is where you lose the sight of your question, and that is where you lose marks. He goes on to write, finally he arrives at the point. He says he will lose his eyesight. Now it's not just he, it's all the children, not just Mukesh, but all the children that are bangle makers in Firozabad, if you will agree, if you remember. So he writes, because isn't near future he will lose his eyesight. Now, like I said, the first line should have been about the place where they worked, the dark and dingy places, right, without air and light. Thereafter, the two hazards means risks, the dangers, right? Two hazards are the loss of eyesight, okay, the loss of eyesight, as this child has rightly written, although the structure is wrong, although the expression is not at all up to the desired level, but still he manages to write eyesight. So they lose eyesight because of the the reason being the glass, the melted glass, and the dark cells, where they work. Yes, the cave-like cells, cave-like little rooms, and their eyes certainly are to be destroyed as they grow up and as they reach adulthood, as it happened with Mukesh's Dadaji. His grandfather had gone completely blind, almost blind, right? So the eyesight gets lost. But where is second point? You always remember, have to write two value points whenever it's a question for 2 marks. That is my objective of making this video. 2 marks, short answer type question means 2 value points. You have this eyesight, it gets lost as they grow up, working as bangle makers in dark, unhygienic, devoid of oxygen dingy cells. And what about the respiratory troubles? Yes, they have lung issues, they have lung problems, they have breathing issues, they become asthmatic, asthma catches up on them, they have breathing issues, and you had to write that as well. The reason why this child gets only 1 or 1.5, at the most he will get 1, because expression wise he loses out almost whole of it, right, and content wise he just gets half of the content value. Now coming to the second question, this is about Douglas. The question was, now this is one where I really wanted to explain and discuss this in the class as well when we meet again. Extreme terror he caught up with. When does Douglas get extreme terror of water? Extreme terror of water. Now what you have written, some of you have written, and as this child also has done, he has written the episode at the sea beach, where the fear actually began. It was the beginning of fear, not the culmination or not the peak of fear, not the terror that I am talking of. Question is asking, when did he get the extreme terror of water, extreme fear of water? Actually, extreme fear is terror. The child here writes at the age of 5, although the structure again goes wrong. In his age, there is no such thing as in his age. You should have written at the age of 3 to 4 years. Douglas went to a California beach. Child writes seaport. Come on, read the chapter well. There was no seaport. Port is different and beach is different. Ports are where the ships are kept at the harbor. Well, he went at the California beach with his father and he was surfing. Now, I can understand this boy, this girl or the boy or the student wanted to write surfing, but see what he ends up writing here. He writes surfering. It doesn't make any sense. So he was surfing in water. Let's say a big water wave comes. Now, be very careful about the structure again. S shouldn't be here, should not be here, shouldn't be here. So a big water wave, rather than saying this, you should have written a big wave of water came. But again, the whole point actually is wrong. It was not at this tender age of 3 to 4 years, the beach incident. No, not the beach incident that caused him extreme terror. It was the incident at 11 years of age at YMCA pool. If you remember, he was pushed by a very kind of hefty fat boy, a very muscular, rather not fat, muscular boy from behind, and he got pushed into the deep water, 9 feet deep water. That was where that accident actually was absolutely unthinkable. He had not ever predicted that would happen. Of course, this incident happened in his life at a very tender age, 3 to 4 years, but later on, after 6 to 7 or let's say even 8 years, he decided to join the YMCA pool to get rid of that fear which had gripped him. So the fear had to be gotten away, right? It had to be got rid of. So he decided to join this YMCA pool, but within a few days of his joining, that bad incident, that misadventure, as the chapter tells you on the third page rather of the chapter, deep water, he meets with this mishappening that muscular boy pushes him out of mischief also, of course, but that mischief cost this little boy called Douglas, the narrator of the story, cost him a great trauma, and he suffered from extreme terror of water, so much so that he never he had to almost give away thought. Even a single thought of water would send him into a trauma. Now coming to the next page. Okay, let's talk about the third question. Kamala Das looks out of the window on her way to the airport because her mother is at age of 66. Gradually she covers the old age. The structure again, the expression has to be improved. You need a lot of improvement in the expression. So her face becomes pale and narrator expected that her mother is not live for a long period of time. Such lengthy expression, such unstructured, very vague kind of expression is not going to help you children. You should have written Kamala Das was depressed by the thought of her mother getting old. She saw her mother had gotten very old at the age of 66. She suddenly realizes this and has thoughts of death, right? This child and some of you, some of others, many others also miss this good expression. You have to read and learn the answers as well. Understand the question, think of the answer clearly in your mind and express them after learning the answers, because your structure really needs a lot of improvement. Well, anyways, after this you write, this student writes, in this way narrator feels very hurtless. What does this mean, hurtless? To change their thinking expectations, he looks out of the car. Of course, I get the meaning, I get the feeling what this child wants to say. He or she knows the answer, but it's not being put across on the paper. So how would the examiner award you with any mark? He says or she says to change their thinking expectation. Now that is not a very appropriate expression. You should have written the narrator or the poet wants to feel positive again, so she looks out at young trees and young children. You remember young trees and little children spilling out of their rooms. Yes or no? Well, that was to be written. Now coming to the fourth question in this video. This would be the last question of this video, this particular video. Charlie wanted 2 tickets to Galesburg. The question was, why does he buy 2 tickets? Or why does he want to buy? Rather, he cannot buy, of course. As it turns out later, the ticket counter, the person sitting over there did not accept the currency, since that currency was far way into the future. He had gone 100 years back into the past. 100 years back. So how could that currency match with the present currency? Well, so now this student writes, he found, although he should have written he wrote they. Be careful about they is nowhere here. It's just about Charlie. He is a single man. He found the third level at the Grand Station. Use right prepositions. At the Grand Central Station of New York, and capital Y capital. It's a proper noun. New York, and his dream to enjoy. Now, why didn't you end the sentence here? Why have you switched to third person here? Again, even if you did, you could have written a new sentence. He dreamt, second form. DREAMT, second form of the verb. He dreamt of enjoying. He dreamt to enjoy. Okay, fine, I'll accept it. He dreamt to enjoy his life with his wife. Child, I'm pretty sure it is a slip of hand. He wanted to write, or she wanted to write wife, but wrote life. So be very careful while you write it. So he wanted to enjoy his life with his wife Louisa to Galesburg in 1894, because that place, well, the child goes to write, because that place covers very free environment. Look at the very top here. Covers very free environment, and most one is grandfather to see his one. Now there the student, messes everything. Why do you need, where was I asking, or Did the question ask about the qualities of Galesburg? Well, of course, okay, you wrote about the free environment, the carefree and the relaxed nature of those times 100 years back. Grandfather used to tell him stories about it and he wanted to go over there. But the question was very specific. Yes, you could write 2 points here. Question was, why did he buy 2 tickets? So the answer is, he bought 2 tickets, one for his wife and other, one for himself and the other for his wife. 2 tickets. Okay. And then you could have written the thing that this child writes. He wanted to go there with his wife to enjoy the peaceful past of 1894 Galesburg. Okay, so that's all from me with respect to this particular video. I'll come with more in the following videos. Improve upon your literature.